Hey, Rick from Ride Out Racing here. I've had some people ask about, well, two people, but I've had some people ask about the SmartRace Connect that I'm running, the screen setup that I'm running, and they're wanting to know how I set mine up. So I thought I'd do a video on the SmartRace Connect. This is the unit that connects to the main SmartRace, and these are for each driver location can have an iPhone or an iPad that you can set to your specific car, and you can control your brakes and lights and see your fuel and lap times at each one of these SmartRace Connect apps. So this is how I've got mine set up here. Just so you know, if I back out of this, I can go back to the home screen. So this is what we're talking about. This is the SmartRace Connect. This is what you see when you first log in. And then if your SmartRace app is running and you have to be on the same Wi-Fi, so once they're up and running, you hit connect, then it automatically goes to, this happens to be car number 1, so it automatically goes to that. And just so in case you don't know, you go back out of here, go up here to the little 3 lines, under settings, miscellaneous, and then right here we've got automatic select controller. So if you hit that, then here you can choose which controller you want it to automatically log into each time it boots up. So we back out of this. So here we are on car number 1. Since we're using call buttons or caution buttons around the layout, we're not using the stop feature on SmartRace Connect, but right here is my stop feature of SmartRace. So if we wanted to, you can hit this to stop the race, but like I said, we have the call buttons around the layout, so we're no longer using the stop on the SmartRace Connect. So as you can see, the things that I feel are most important, I try to make as big as I can. Glancing down at the fuel is important. I want to be able to quickly see that, see how much fuel I have. Brakes are something that we adjust all the time. Remaining laps and your position is something that you want to be able to quickly look down and be able to see it. And of course, if you have any penalties, it's nice to be able to be made aware of that when you glance down also. So to set the screen up, we have to go down here to this little gear, and we press on the gear. That brings up edit screen layout. Go to that. That brings up this here page that shows the way it's set up currently, and this does the is where you can add columns and add widgets to each column. So you first enter or bring up a column or create a column, then you decide which widget you want in each column, and columns can have more than one widget. So this is how I've got mine now. I want to show you, you put your finger on the edge to scroll up and down. If by accident you reach in here somewhere and think you're going to move the screen, and you're trying to move the screen, well, you end up moving a widget. So the widget that used to be down here has now gotten moved, and a lot of times you'll lose them. And if things get screwed up in a hurry, if you try to move the screen by putting your finger inside the screen in the center of the screen, like I moved this here light, and it was down here in this column there. So you got to be careful when you try to move the screen. You go on the edge of the screen. Oops, I just caused a red flag. So you got to be sure to always go on the edge of the screen and not somewhere in the middle, because you'll end up moving a widget if you put your finger somewhere in the middle. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just delete everything that I've done here, and so we're going to start from scratch. And to delete a column, you can't just come up here and hit the X. It's going to tell you that you've got to remove the widget first. So there's little black dots to the far right side, top right side. There's 3 little dots. Hit the little dots. Now you hit delete to remove the widget. Now you can hit the X and remove the column. So now the column's gone. So I'm going to do each one of these. You're going to remove the widget, delete the column. So I'll just do each one of these. All right, so now I've got a clean slate to start with. So if you notice, we've got a column, save, and cancel. So we want to hit this column. That brings up a 50% width column. Now I'm going to make this 100. I'm going to tap widget. That brings up a new little window here. You tap the little window. Then in here, you tap empty widget. Now that brings up all the available widgets. And each time you choose one, it'll be grayed out, so you can't use them twice. So my very first one was called tuning. So I tap tuning. Now tuning offers several different options, two actually. You've got speed and brake, speed only, or brakes only. So I don't want my drivers to be have control over their speed, so I'm just going to choose brake only. Then down here, for some reason these are off the screen, but it's save and cancel, so I'm going to hit save. So that saves the brake tuning, and it's at 100% width. Now if you notice, there's two columns. I got a column here and I got a column there. If you hit this column, it's going to add a new column. Actually, it's going to add it. Well, it's a new column for a new widget in the same column. So it adds another area for a widget in the same column. I try not to use that too often, so I'm going to cancel that. Then I want to hit the column here at the top next to the save. You hit that column and it adds a new column below the one that we just did. Now my next one was fuel, and it was at 100%, so I want to change this to 100. Go to widget, tap here, tap the empty widget, then under fuel, tap fuel, and again hit save. So now there's my fuel. Now we're going to talk about sizing in a minute, but not right now. So then my next thing was the remaining laps to be run in a race. So again, I'm going to hit this column. That mine was only, this was a 25% width on this remaining laps. So 25 for that. Go to widget, hit the add a widget, hit empty widget, then remaining laps is here under remaining. And if you notice, fuel's grayed out, timing is grayed out, so we can't choose those again. So then here's remaining. Again, I hit save. Now I have remaining there. Add another column. Again, it comes in at 50%, but that's actually what I want, because this one here was going to be our position for this driver, what position he's in. So we're going to add a widget. Then here we're going to add position, save. Then we need another column, again the top column. Now if you notice, it added it down here below because there wasn't enough room to put it in there. So it will go below if there's not enough room for the column to fit. So when I make this 25, it will then jump over here to this, fill in this space. So now I go to widget, tap that, empty widget, and this one was penalties. Hit save. So there's what we have so far. So let me go ahead and save this. Hit save. Now as you can see, it's not quite the right sizing. I want my fuel to be, the 55% is kind of hard to see at a glance. When you're driving, you just have a few seconds to glance down and see what's going on. So there's the three little dots over here. You click on the three little dots, you hit configure. Now the display size, I'm going to increase that. I believe I had mine at 150 display size. Hit save. Now that makes the fuel gauge a whole lot bigger and a whole lot easier to read the 55%. I don't really care so much about this green bar. As your fuel runs down, this green bar is going to turn sort of an orange and then red as it gets down near empty. So I just want to be able to glance up and see that I've got 55% of my fuel. Now remaining laps is pretty small. So you tap on the three little dots, go to configure. Right now it's at 100%. I'm going to move that up to 120, hit save. That brings that size up to that. My position is too small, so I'm going to take it, just for fun, I'm going to go to 120, but I know that's not going to be, see this box is down lower than this box. So I want to try to make all these even, and I already know from trial and error, at least I think I know, I believe it was 143, save, makes these boxes the same depth, same size. Go to my penalties. Now this one will also be a 120. And you can play with these and make these whatever size you want. All right, so now I've got the look that I'm looking for. So to continue on, we're going to hit the gear, go to Edit Screen Layout, brings us back to this. And again, remember, finger on the edge of the screen, not in the center, because again, if you grab here and start moving, I'm going to move that position around, and then wherever I let go is where it's going to stay, and then it's all going to be screwed up again. So I move the position back down into the column that it came from. Finger on the side to move the screen. We are going to go back to column, add a new column. Now it puts it at the bottom, which you can't see it because the screen's not that big. Oops, sorry, I just bumped the camera. So now we scroll up and here's our new column. Now the next widgets that I had was your last lap time. So I go to widget. So let's see, last lap time is this one right here. Hit save, scroll back up. I'm just having to think what size widget I made that. We're going to make this, we'll start with a 33. We'll try that. I think that's not quite right yet, but we'll work with it. Add a new column. Again, it's going to be down here at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and make this one. I think it's going to be closer to 40. And this one was your best lap time. Best lap time, save. Again, scroll back up to see it. My next one, just for fun, was to flash your lights. So what I had there, we go back to the top to hit the top column, go back down. Now if you want, you can hit a couple of these at a time, and it's going to add them down here. So now I've got 4 columns sitting here waiting for me. Now this penalty, you know, the light, headlight, let me try moving that to a, that might have been a 15. Okay, 15 doesn't, see when I made that, oh, I'll tell you what, I have to move, see, I'm trying to change this one, thinking that it's going to go up there, but this one's next in line. So I've got to go to this one and make it a 15, and it should then jump up here. Now I can make this one, now I've got some space, extra space, so I was thinking 33 wasn't right. I think it's 40, because I got 2 40s and a 15, and that filled this row out. So, the thing that I had next, now is again, the 15 here and the 50 beside it, I pretty much have to start with this one, and I believe this one here was times, my lap times, and I'm going to say that was around a 75% width, which bumps this one down. Let me go to this one to a 25. Which now puts it over here. This one, add a widget. Tap that, tap empty widget. And this was lap times. Tap the lap times, hit save. Now here's my lap times. Then this one here I had as which driver was this set to. Now that one is called controller info. So tap that, hit save. And I've got this that shows what driver it's selected to. Then I need one more column because I still had the stop button. So add another column, scroll down to the bottom. Here's our new column. I had the stop button at 100% width. Go to widget, empty widget. Right here is stop button. Click that, hit save. So now this is everything that I think we want. I hit save. Now we take a look to see if the spacing is correct. I see something that I have forgotten. I should have a light. I wanted to be able to control the lights. So right here we actually need another widget. So I'm going to go back to the gear, edit screen layout. Oh, okay, I've got the column, but I haven't put anything in it, which is good. If this was blank, it's real tough to get a new column in this blank space. You actually would have to use this 75, make it a 15. It would then jump into this spot. So it gets real touchy about if you leave something out, to fill it in, you actually got to go back to this column, make it the right width to fit in there. Then this widget has to be drug out. You can take this widget and move it out to somewhere else, makes this an empty widget. So it gets to be a little bit of a trick to get everything where you want it. So I'm going to move this widget back into that column. Click on this column, brings up a little window here. Click on that, empty widgets. And we wanted to put light button, save. So now we've got the light button icon there. And I believe that's the only thing that we had missing. Hit save. Go back and take a look at it. Now, I've got the caution buttons or code buttons or call buttons around the layout, so we're not using this stop feature anymore, so it pretty much is off the screen. But let's just say that you want to use it, so we're going to go back to the gear, edit screen. Now I've got this stop at 100%. This one's 25/75. So one way to do this is I can drag this stop widget into this column, take this widget and drag him into the column that the stop was in. Now this is going to be 100. The stop's now going to be 75. Let's go ahead and hit save. So now on the main screen, we've got the stop visible, then our past lap times are down below. So that's how you can set this up if you're wanting to use the stop button and not have to scroll the screen up to see the stop button. Now you have to scroll up to see your lap times, and it shows your past 3 laps is what's shown down here. Well, that's pretty much how you do it. Now you know from the main, this is the main screen. We're out of the edit area, but you can always tap the 3 dots while you're in the main screen, you can tap the three dots and go to configure, and from here we can still adjust the display size. So if we just decided to make the stop button bigger, I'll go up to 130, hit save. Now it makes the stop button even bigger. So you can mess with stuff like that. All right, you can put this back. I'll hit the three little buttons, configure, move this back to about 100, save. So it puts it back to the size that it was. So there's still, all kinds of things you can do. If you don't feel like you need the fuel gauge that big, you can go back to the fuel gauge, slide it down to say 110, hit save. So now the fuel gauge is a lot smaller, which brings up the times. Now the times are pretty small. We could go into the time area, hit configure. There's a certain point that you can go to. If I go 120, see how that looks. So now it's getting a little bit too big. So go back, hit the three little buttons, config. Let's try 110, save. So you can manipulate the display size and just fiddle with it until you're happy with what you see. There again, I like the fuel gauge big. When I glance down, I want to be able to see the percentage. So, and if you wanted the tuning to also include the brake, you could go in here, or the speed. You could do speed and brake, hit save. So now you've got the speed setting and brake setting. And again, you can mess with the size of that. It was at 100 just for fun. We could go all the way down to 70. That's going to make it pretty small. They're basically on top of each other now. Or we can make them bigger. We'll go to 130, might be extreme. So you can do that. But putting it back the way it was, we had it so it was only brakes only. At about, let's try 110. And there again, we had the stop button below at the very bottom. For that, we want to go to the gear, edit screen, scroll to the bottom. Now theoretically, let's just see if we can really mess something up. Go to column, I'm going to add a new column down here. We'll make this new column 100. Drag the stop button down into the new 100 column. We can drag this back up into the 75 width column. It's probably going to be too big now. Now we've got an extra column, so we can either drag this back up into there and then delete this empty one at the bottom. I have a feeling that the times are going to be too big, but scroll back to the top. Again, finger on the edge, not in the middle. Save. That's not too bad. Oh, my fuel's still kind of small. So again, as you make the fuel bigger, the stop, you can get it all on the main screen if you compress everything. If I actually made the, if I brought the tuning down, let's try maybe 90. Save. See, now I'm getting the stop, the times, and everything here on the main screen. So you can finagle around with different sizes. All right, I guess in closing, I'm going to put this back the way I have it. I believe. Let's try 150. So there's my fuel. I had the brake. Brake's kind of important. We adjust our brakes quite a bit in the evening of racing. So I'm going to make the brake. I had it down to 90. Let's try 100. And where lap times are a little bit on the big side, but looks okay. And all right, if you're still with me, Let's just see how much trouble we can get into. I'm going to go into the gear, edit screen layout. Now I'm back in the edit area. Now let's just say for some reason you want to put a new widget right here near the top. We're going to make this width here, let's say 75. So now we've got a blank space right here. How can we put a column in that blank space? If we add a column, a new column to this column, we have a place to put a widget, but it's within this column. We can't drag this over to that area. No matter what size, if we make it even a 10%, we can't get it. It stays within this column. So that's not going to work to make this column. Let's see, even, I don't know if we can, even if we do 100%, it's still within this 75 width column. So we can't fill that spot. So how do we put something there? All right, you're not going to like it. What we got to do is, this is going to, if this is a 75, we're going to put a 25 right there. We've got to drop down. We're going to make this 125. It magically fills the spot. Now we got to remember what we just eliminated. So we just eliminated a 100. So this one then becomes the new 100. The 50 becomes 25. Is that right? I think so. The 25 becomes a 50. The 40 becomes 25. This 40, I think it's going to stay, yeah, it's going to stay a 40. This one here then also, this 15 becomes a 40. This 75 becomes the 15. The 70, it used to be a 75, so now this one, this 25, becomes a 75. We need the 25, so this one becomes 25. Now we need a new column at the very bottom. So we come back up to the top, we hit column. That magically adds us a new column at the bottom. It's now going to be the last one, which was 100. Okay, so now we drag the stop into the 100. Our car number, the controller number, goes into that slot. Our times drags back over here to the 75. The light goes over here into the 15. Our best lap goes over here in the 40. Last lap comes over to the 40. Penalties goes over to the 25. Our position goes back over here to this 50. Remaining comes back down to this column, the 25. Then our fuel comes back over here to this 100. Now we've got a brand new column, 25, that we can go in here and add whatever we want to add now. Let's say we're going to put damage in there. So we got damage in there, we hit save. Now we have damage. If we hit save here, we now have our braking, no issues on damage, and the rest of the screen is like it was. So that's the only way that I know of. If you want to add a new column to the top or somewhere else, you go to the gear, you go to edit screen, and you have to shuffle everything down to get a new column. You have to basically move a column up to that spot and then shuffle everything down and have a new, the new column actually ends up at the bottom, replacing the column that was here. Not sure all that makes sense, but that's the only way I know how to do it at this time. So if for some reason you think, well, I don't like that there, then to get rid of it, we can get rid of hit the three dots, we get rid of the widget. We can get rid of, I'm going to try something. Let's try hiding this widget. If I go back to set 100, will that still take a spot? Okay, there's something that you can do. If you're not using a column, you can basically hide it. If it's visible, I save this. It's also going to be invisible because it's empty. So go back to the gear, back to edit. There's a column here, but it has nothing in it. If I stick something in it, it's going to show up. I put tires this time. Tires is going to show up just under tuning. So if we go back to edit and we make this the 75 and that's a 25, so it fits in there, hit save. So now we have a tire icon beside the tuning. So we don't necessarily have to completely delete it. It might be a wise thing to do is when you're building the screen, put some extra widgets in that you're not actually going to use just for later on. Maybe you could have them as spares. I'm going to delete this now. So once I delete it, if I make this width back to 100, I don't believe that widget or that column will show up. So it's gone, the tire icon is gone, and there's no sign of that column. So there's one way to have columns kind of in the background that you can use if you so desire later on. But that's about the only way. Sometimes it's almost easier just to start from scratch. When you start making a bunch of changes, it's almost as easy just to wipe everything off and start from scratch and build it from the top down. But once you decide to add something in that you forgot to do, you've got to go through all that trouble of bringing this column, making this column fit the space and working your way back to the bottom and adding a new column at the bottom. Just so you know, I'm using this SmartRace Connect app on an old Apple iPad. This is just an iPad Air. This is a real early version. The highest that the software will go up to is a 12.5.7. It only has 16 gigabytes of capacity, so doesn't take a state-of-the-art, the latest iPad to run. So fortunately, an older iPad that you can get off eBay, real cheap, works just fine with the new SmartRace app. You just make sure you have to be on the same Wi-Fi as your main SmartRace. So we're running the SmartRace Connect 4.0.1 right now. 4.0.1 will run on an old iPad Air. Hey, and also most everything that we've covered here also applies to the SmartRace main app. You just have to go to the edit screen layout. I think it's on the main app. It's on the bottom left-hand corner. You can do it for the race, the qualifying, and practice. There's 3 different screens that you can set up, but it uses pretty much the same settings and format as this here SmartRace Connect. All right, that's all I've got. So I hope this was something useful, and thanks for watching.